Hey folks, welcome back. This is Cetriya, Cetriya, and today I'm just going to do a quick update as to why I've been MIA, and then talking a little bit about generally how I keep up with my ideas and how I come up with ideas. So, quick cap, I know it's been a while since I've uploaded a video, about a week or so, almost 2 weeks. And the main reason is because in Florida, if you haven't been watching the news, there was a major storm that just went by. It was Hurricane Irma. Fortunately, for the most part, I think for Florida, it didn't hit too hard because by the time it hit Florida, it dropped down to about a Category 2 hurricane. So the winds were probably around 100 miles per hour, whereas more like 70. Before then, it was like 180. Also happy that it bypassed Haiti because that's where both my parents are from, so they have a lot of family over there, and Haiti right now cannot support it couldn't support it the first time, but definitely can't support it another storm going through. Other than that, it was kind of mass chaos in Florida, people driving back and forth the coast, and almost 30 or 40% of the state's gas was ran out all the time, water was running out and stuff like that. But fortunately for me, I stayed with a family friend with my family, and nothing bad happened. I have power in both my apartment and at the place we stayed at, and not much damage and plenty of extra food. So I thought I'd do a quick little video and show you a bit about where I come from, my ideas. So these are just a few of my old sketchbooks, and I'm not that precious with them. This one I just made myself. I just grabbed whatever cardstock paper, stapled it together, and folded some printer paper. And usually when I come up with ideas, I'll either think about what am I doing it for, or maybe the theme, and from then on I'll just do a lot of like lists. So typically most people, at least the sketchbook that they show online, is usually one full of pictures, whereas mine is actually full of lots of words. My sketchbooks are also more like idea books. They're also filled with plans for like con plans, Kickstarter plans, promotion plans, website plans, tutorials and tips. So again, as you can see, there's a lot of text here, or maybe writing down a story. This was a short story that I decided not to do. Rough thumbnails, math. Let's see. As you can see here, it says Kickstarter notes. My handwriting is not that great. And maybe a sketch on the side. See, developing how I want the layout for the conventions. And sometimes if I have a quick idea, I'll write it down and I'll stick it in with tape and things like that. Methods of drawing hair, like pretty much I use my sketchbook as a catch-all of anything that comes up to my mind. And that's one of the things that I think will help any of you who are like, well, where do I come with ideas? If you just decided one day I'm going to start drawing something, but you haven't had the idea for it, but you feel like drawing, it's good to go ahead and anytime you have the ideas to just jot them down. Then you could just go back and mine these. And this one's pretty old, I think. Another short story idea, button ideas. So I don't sketch too much, and then once I have the idea of the theme, I'll just quickly like split up the pages based on the ratio, whether it's gonna go long format or tall portrait format. And this is kind of very much how I plan my ideas, and then afterwards I write a little note of things. So that's kind of what I tend to do for my ideas, and I can get my ideas from a variety of sources, and just by walking or seeing someone else's art. I don't think I get as much ideas from looking at other people's art, but I definitely maybe seeing shapes or vase or things like that. So again, there's like a quick pen sketch. A lot of times I do sketch with ballpoint pen. I feel like sketching with a pen for your thumbnails or your ideas forces you to just go with the flow and then go to the next page if you make a mistake. But as I said, there's a lot of like, quick thumbnails. This was for pattern design, repeat pattern design. And a lot of times the thumbnails aren't exactly representing of what I need, what I'm going to be drawing, but they actually represent shapes and contrast, because I feel that's the first thing people will notice when they see something from afar. So the shape and the composition is very important for me. And then again, some thumbnails, and then sometimes you'll get like full-on pencil work. So this girl probably came up to, I probably had her thumbnail somewhere in some other book, and then I went and did a pencil work, and then probably months later I did the full color illustration for that. So I'll link down below to her illustration, her digital illustration. Another illustration idea that I have not done yet, and I may change it also, which is what's good about doing these kind of sketching, going back to your old sketchbook, is like you'll look back and be like, well, how would I do this differently? It's kind of like the whole challenge that goes on the internet now, where people will take an old artwork and draw it again. Personally, for me, I don't really believe in drawing something again unless the idea was really that great, and perhaps I'll change it or I'll update it or just do something different based on that same idea. So usually I just, you know, do these quick sketches, and then I have like little tabs that later on when I was going back, I'm like, oh, I should probably revisit this again. And again, just like quick things. Another artist notes book, so it has a lot of, again, text. I list out words, I list out thoughts, ideas, highlighting, and then on the side I might do a quick sketch on the side. Again, you can see like this is a bullet list, and for people who do that whole bullet journal, I guess they might include this also, but probably not. At least personally for me, if I was doing bullet journaling, it would probably end up being a little too messy for me. And then sometimes if I'm going through a tutorial, I'll write down, not me creating, but if I'm reading a book or I'm watching a tutorial, I'll write down notes. So this little section here talks about cover designs. And, you know, I'm not trying to be neat with this book. So again, this here is actually a list of finding apartments in New York. Like, I just travel in my notebook, and that's usually the only thing I got something to write down. So I'll write it down. And then probably some list of like art resources, a little notes about drawing perspective, and then randomly I must have seen something and I decided to draw her out, maybe a style or some kind of reference. Sometimes I will copy something that I've seen on my sketchbook for reference reasons. So in this case, it's her wearing a helmet. So that way when I go and design a helmet, I'm not designing the exact helmet, but I'm taking things into consideration, such as the geometric shape for covering a human's face. How would that look if you formed it on there? The thickness of her lens, depending on the atmosphere, and then perspective practice. Again, I'll tend to go with like pencil sketches, and then quickly grab whatever marker I have, and in this case I had a highlighter, because again, I'm very focused on the shape that I'm creating, and I usually try to draw in the actual size of the paper. And so just do a quick flip here. Another drawing that I did not finish, but I did draw this. I may or may not do this. Style practice. Some more like style practices and things. And that's what's so great about just kind of like throwing up on your paper. I did finish this illustration too, Ship in a Bottle, and ended up being kind of different from what I decided to do, so I'll put a link to that too. But that's the thing, like you want to go back and be able to mind your own sketchbook for ideas. Another sketch that I haven't done the illustration for, thumbnails for a lot of composition, that I may go back and just completely do something different for. Practice, pen illustrations, pen sketches. So these are just some life drawings that I did with, or maybe photograph drawings that I did with some pen. So here's some more drawings here. you can barely understand this scribble, but I know what this scribble is. This is a quick character design sketch that I'd like to go back and refine, but for character designs, I based on the larger shape and then I go add detail. This is just like a panel example, because sometimes I think of really cool panel shots later on, or maybe I think of the panel shot for a part of a story that I have not thumbnailed yet, so I just quickly put that in so that way I recall what it's supposed to be like. And then again, more sketches. I did do this for the last Inktober and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. Yeah, again with the highlighter pen for prints, patterns, shapes. Okay. So, okay. As you guys know, Inktober is coming up in about 2 weeks. And a lot of people are wondering what to do. Jake Parker just posted up his list. That's pretty much the same list every year. And for me, I'm not going to be going with the list. I am going to be going with a theme, and then I'll create the list. So I'm going to go ahead and announce it earlier that this month theme is Queens. But I haven't decided if I want to go more traditional queen, fantastical queens. I do know that I really want to experiment on some cool compositions. And as you can see here, I decided to go with like a square composition, but I may change my idea and go more rectangle, like the typical rectangle composition. But as you can see here, all I did was like a quick pencil or doodle sketch, and then just use a gray solid marker. And then later on, when I start really doing the pencil work, for these illustrations, I'll go ahead and add more detail. So this is very important for not just me, but again, when people see your first image, they'll see a bold shape, and then they'll come in closer and see more detail. So I just kind of just planned it out, different really rough sketch thumbnails of what I'd like for this. As you can see here, I still am missing a space, and these aren't finalized, and I may change them as I go. But how I started out with this was deciding that this will be Queen, and the title of the series. It just helped for me to focus. What is it that I want to draw? Because sometimes you'll jump right into the theme, and then you don't know what to do after like the fifth illustration. That might be a discouragement. I know that's what's happened to me in the last 2 Inktober's, and I've yet to do it, but to actually complete it. But here I said motif queens, and then you can see this huge list of just words and ideas. So, you know, Queen X whatever, or what reminds me of Queen: crowns, tiaras, throne runes, guards, headgear, and then what are the things that reminds you of queens, like the queen bee, or prom queen. I'm not going to draw anything about proms, but like prom queen is just an example. And then you could expand from that theme and say, well, what are queens? You could go very futuristic. It could also include, you know, it doesn't have to be a human queen. It could be an alien queen. It could be a monster queen. It could be, let's say, a queen of a video game. So you can go very fantastical with it. So that's how I help with coming up with ideas. Is I usually take, you know, a central focus motif, and then I decide on what do I want to challenge myself. In this case, it's in Inktober, so I know for a fact that I'll be challenging different kind of inking techniques. And then from then on, I just go ahead and decide on shapes, and from the shapes, I'll go ahead and fill out the details for this. So any of these can end up filling. They're all queen based, but you know, maybe this one will be a futuristic queen, or dystopian queen, or Asian queen, or something of that nature. Now, a quick little segue into a quick little just look over of my last comic project, just to show you what I am capable of and hopefully get better at, was my little comic called Eau Eclair. It was a successful Kickstarter. In terms, I made it a very small Kickstarter, but this was the previous method that I did, and it's almost blank pages, but they're just like quickly, roughly done items and notes right here. You can see again, and a lot of these things end up changing on the final page. This is a promo illustration here. And then that was the ending. So you can see, I'm going to go ahead and show you this page here, how that page ended up coming to be. Let's see if I can. So you really could see it right here, right? There goes that panel, that panel, that panel, long board, and then the panel transition here. So, you know, hope you guys be patient. I'll probably have CrossStar probably posted on Tuesday, because again, I just have the toning work to do, and I really want to get into doing the Inktober pencils, and then get back into the routine of making artwork consecutively. I'm also running into the issue that lately work have been very illustrative, very demanding on my hands, so I've started to develop a couple of sores because I'm using tablets, the tablet pen, and I kind of grip it pretty hard. But yeah, guys, just be a bit patient, and then you'll see something as pretty as this guy. Yep. So if you want to know more about this particular project, I'll link that below. If you want to see the two illustrations that I did from pencil to full illustration, I'll link that below. Otherwise, leave a comment, leave your questions. I'll make sure to get back to answer them, and I will see you in the next video.